them through the various modules within the program overall. So this is, again, the calendar strategy is going to be new to some folks, and it's something we're going to continue testing this year. But we're really looking at having these kind of nodal individual asks per month of you guys to help steadily advance a project over time. And so, again, every month we'll have this type of discussion where we'll talk about a particular topic. You all should have received the calendar invite to that particular time. If you haven't, we'll talk offline to make sure you get that. But this is our calendar for the year, and excited to kind of get underway finally after a lot of prep. Okay, so for folks, I've been able to share the new workbook with you guys, the new field guide actually. But for those that haven't seen it, it's not organized in months. And then again, to reinforce, month number 2 is about selecting an organization. And so what we're doing within the Ambassador Institute, and then as well as the program in general, is really helping folks figure out what projects or what organizations they'd like to serve. And so today we'll be talking a lot about what that ask is ultimately of an organization and what you're asking them to do, and then how you kind of whittle down that list of projects you'd like to engage. And then this workbook sheet is something that we're using to help organize, but just that's not particularly relevant for today's call, just showing you that this is how we're moving forward as far as training and preparing folks. So ultimately, what we're here today to do is, and the function of Advance from a project or organization side is that Advance is really designed to allow a new point into USGBC to start beginning that relationship and deepening it over time, and helping endear our mission and our vision within a whole new subsegment or a whole new population of people that haven't quite heard what we're preaching quite yet. And so Advance opens that door. And you guys have seen this before, but we're really targeting community centers, faith-based groups, schools, cultural institutions, affordable and existing homes and neighborhoods by offering this new repackaged product suite and kind of framework to help them begin that journey with us. And so for folks, as you're starting to think about projects or you haven't quite isolated yours yet, here's a bunch of examples that could provide some inspiration, whether it's a YMCA, Salvation Army facilities, your church, your mosque, your temple, local museums, or your veterans, some of the VFW things you're involved in, community centers, that should be a typo there, but affordable housing types of focused organizations, whether it's Habitat or Youth Build or your local housing authority, places of learning, and neighborhoods. So those is what we're seeing as far as projects emerging within the network. And again, we're also helping connect the dots for folks that are running into issues or don't quite have those ties yet. We've got a lot of either formal or informal relationships that our team here has built over the years as we've been figuring what Advance is, and can help facilitate those connections within the organizations that you see here. And it's getting bigger and bigger by the day. So never hesitate on asking us if you need help in finding that project or making those ties. We can help orchestrate things at a national level as well as at a local level based on the context we currently have. One thing so as you're formulating what that project is ultimately, I think what we've learned, and I think it's going to help a lot of folks when you're starting to make the ask of a project, is to really focus when you're making that ask of a project on 5 different things that you'll do for them over the course of that year. And so within this new calendar approach, we have it organized by month, what we'll be helping train and highlight from a training perspective, a call perspective, an article perspective that will help you facilitate hopefully these engagements that we can collectively do together over the next 12 months. And so when you're talking to a project, again, there's 5 different things you're ultimately asking of them to participate in. The first will happen in the 4th month of your ambassadorship. So for many folks, that'll be in April of this month, where you'll be hosting a Kickstart activity. And that's where you get all your values out using the workbooks, you get your aspirations on the wall, and you're figuring out how to organize a team to move that project forward internally. You're asking them to participate in a 2-hour workshop where you go on site to their facility and get that work done in conjunction with them and any other volunteers that you think and deem are necessary to support you there. The 5th month, we're going to be really focused on helping projects benchmark their existing conditions. And so we'll be highlighting and focusing on using the START survey tool as a way to get a general sustainability baseline. Do they have recycling programs? Is there a water follow refilling station? Do they highlight and promote public transportation? Kind of simple, basic questions you're asking of the project, and aggregating those, as well as getting their energy and utility bills within inside of the portfolio manager tool. So this is how we're collecting data to understand, okay, we've got their aspirations on the wall, we've got their values aligned with us and ours with theirs. We're now collecting data to understand how they move forward, and then moving into, it's now we're month 7, really focusing on getting that goal setting built and using the plan builder experience to help them set their goals based on those existing data points and helping them set strategy to hit goals over time. And so after that month is completed in that activity, that's a 4-hour workshop that we're asking them to participate. We can do it on site with them. And we'll also be preparing you guys a little bit more on how to get that done. Then we'll transition into the latter part of the year where we're asking folks to do at least 1 day of service on site with them. So based on a goal that they've set or a project they've identified at their space, our ask is that they open up their facility if that is feasible or makes sense to have volunteers on site. It'd be great if it aligned with Green Apple Day of Service and other volunteer activities we have at USGBC. But that's our major ask, is to be able to take action tangibly on their project once those goals are isolated. And then finally, at the very last month of the year, have some type of recognition for the steps and the changes that they have made, whether that be through writing an article together on USGC.org, maybe your local newspaper, maybe hosting a celebration event around the holidays as far as your relationship, publicizing social media. There's other few different things that we're looking at to help support the storytelling part of this all. And so with this, I'm hoping, and I can't wait for feedback, but this will hopefully help you in making that ask of a project to truly understand what this advanced commitment looks like, both from your side and what you need to be doing to move things forward, as well as help them internalize and understand what we're looking at when we talk about this nebulous thing called advance. So that's kind of what we've been building as far as kind of how we're talking about the program moving forward. Any questions at this point before we get into the examples of what we've proposed and kind of where our head's at logistically for your guys' experience? Is this helpful? Does this need more work? Is this something that you could see using in the conversations that you're having at this point?
Shane, this is Omar. I have a quick question. You said something about location and transportation. Does that mean the workbook is expanding towards that kind of field with neighborhood development?
So definitely in Plan Builder, that set goals and build strategy, there's a section that will focus on location and transportation, where we'll talk about kind of transportation goals. We'll look at the site's relationship with bus stops or public transportation and help them build some goals around those ideas. And so it is starting to introduce more of those landscape or more ND types of ideas. But nothing, we haven't taken on the full ND package quite yet. It's still very much existing buildings focused.
Okay, great. That's awesome.
Okay. Cool, guys. Well, definitely if something's burning, send me a note on the private message, and I can take care of that too. But we've got 5 awesome projects that we want to talk about and really highlight how that relationship was built. I don't want to talk too much about maybe it's not as important where it's at now. We really are asking folks to talk about how those connections initially were made, to that project? Was it an introduction? Was it an email? Was it a chance meeting? What did you say? What did you deliver? And so we're hoping that folks can share from their perspective how those relationships are galvanized and how you got them moving towards a particular action. I think I'm going to skip Shalom Park for a second. But I'll introduce Maggie from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and her Action AIDS effort. She's working really closely with a great mentor and longtime UHBC leader named Frank Sherman that helped kind of get the relationship going. But I'd love, Maggie, if you could share kind of how, from your perspective, how that project was isolated, identified, and anything as far as Frank's longer-term relationship with the organization. Any insights on that would be awesome and helpful to the group.
Thanks, Chuck. Thank you very much. This is an interesting collaboration. ActionAid is in the building that's directly above the AIA. You can actually see, it's funny that this is a picture you picked because I love it. You can actually see the AIA bookstore is right there. So in the same building in 1216, there's actually a couple of design firms that are in here, and it's one of those things where nobody ever really pays attention to who your surroundings are, right? You walk past people every day, you walk past organizations every day without ever even realizing. And Frank got involved with this organization through their buddy program. And so what ActionAid is back in the 80s, when they realized that there was a really serious epidemic and people needed to be able to die with dignity, they started this program of the buddy system where they just, normal volunteers, people who wanted to, reach out and make sure that, people had people to sit with as they were getting medicine and things like that. And so Frank volunteered, I guess, about 6 years ago, and he's a long-term sustainability guy. He's been involved with sustainability for the majority of his career, going on 35 years. And when I found out that he was available as a potential person to work with, we sat down and had coffee, and I kind of shared, I'm really huge into the concept of meeting people where they are and trying to figure out what it is that their skill set matches to. And so he said, listen, I got an idea. There's this group, ActionAid. I'm not sure how amenable they're going to be to it. I'm not sure how they're going to feel about it, but let's go have a conversation. Let's see what happens. So we arranged to meet with their board of directors. Well, let me back up. We arranged to meet with their their management team. So the executive director, director of finance, director of fundraising, and we just sat down and had just a really open dialogue. Like, look, we're a new program. We have the opportunity to build a partnership with you guys, and we're actually asking you to take a risk on us. We're unproven. We haven't done anything yet, and it'll be a learning mission for all of us. And what was interesting is ActionAid is actually currently rebranding themselves, because what they've determined through the AIDS crisis is that it's not just dying with dignity, but it's living with any long-term illness with dignity. And so they're now, they're rebranding kind of like an Action Health. I don't actually know what their name is going to be because they haven't announced it yet. But they said, this is amazing. Talk about, living with dignity, understanding where you fit into the world, understanding all of that. And so they went back to their board of trustees, and what we did is we basically brokered a relationship that we were willing to spend a year of our lives, Frank and I, working with this organization, and the timeline that Shane showed earlier is kind of what we sold them. We're not going to give up. This isn't a come in and then leave kind of thing. I hear a lot of backbeat. I'm not sure what's happening there. But we are going to be part of you. We live down the street. We're coming in, and we're never going to leave. And that's effectively what happened. And then from there, we're not going anywhere, right? There's no urgency to do something tomorrow, but there is urgency to always continue. So we've had our Kickstart. We've started a green team. Frank does some consulting with them for free as a volunteer, and it's an example of their greater volunteer group being able to give us all sorts of, skill sets that we didn't even know about. And then we're kind of taking that same concept around Philadelphia, and we're working to find another group where we can do the same thing. And if a year it doesn't feel right for that next group and it should be 6 months instead, that's what we're going to do. But it was brokering a feeling of we're not just here because it's the next big thing, and we're not just here because, you know, we want you to be our guinea pig. We want you to grow with us and learn with us and be the success story with us. And so that's how we've kind of worked that through.
Beautiful. That's it's an incredible example, and definitely really proud that of what you guys have been able to accomplish so far in Philly. And I think it's some real great change happening there, and I'm so glad we can be a part of it. But I think the reason I wanted to highlight Maggie and the work that she's doing out there is that she was really able to link up with a great mentor and someone that can help open some doors that might not be as accessible to her quite yet, or any of us, and the importance of really identifying someone with a little more senior experience to help break down some of those walls, and has those connections that are a little deeper in the community that can get us in front of the right folks to make our pitches. And so as you guys are starting to formulate and starting to make those asks, definitely think about including a more senior leader on your team to ensure to at least have some of that access that might not be present. Excellent. So I want to transition now to our boy Poe Dirty, Matt Poe out in Arkansas, who just kicked off a pretty great relationship with the McEnroe House. Just had a build day this past Saturday, and Matt, we'd love to understand how you brokered this relationship and started serving with them. Looks like Matt's on. I don't see a little phone icon. We'll see if he's logging in, having some login issues. So I think we'll come back to Matt. I'd love to introduce Jasmine, though, our friend and local ambassador out in Raleigh, North Carolina, and her work with the Garysburg Food Hub, which is really starting to gain steam down there. Jasmine, I'd love to have you share kind of how you heard about this project, what those initial conversations looked like, and how you started getting them to want to do advance with us.
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Shane, thanks for introducing the Garysburg Food Hub project here in North Carolina. We are actually quite excited about it. The advanced team thinks it's a great project, and this project actually kind of landed in our lap, so we were very excited. It so happened that Julius Tilleris works for the agricultural sector of the Conservation Fund, and he spoke at one of our partners' dinner. So I started chatting to Julius, and he was telling me about some of the stuff he's doing, and then he mentioned the Garysburg Food Hub project. And it so happened that Garysburg, even though it's considered an agricultural area, it's also considered a food desert, because the local community there, they don't have access to healthy foods and grocery stores. So what the town of Garysburg actually did was, there was an old school that was abandoned a couple of years ago. So the town of Garysburg purchased the school, and Julius had a vision. He thought it would be a good idea to actually convert the school into a farmer's market and a food distribution hub. So one building to redo the whole thing, convert it into farmer's market, use it as a cafeteria, use it as a small businesses hub, and to just make it a multi-purpose facility for the community to use. The other building, what they wanted to do was completely gut it and convert it into a cold storage facility. So when he was telling me about the project, I was like, wow, this is actually amazing. It has so many areas which USGBC loves to advance, and which we thought that our advanced team would like to be a part of. So after hearing Julius I went back to the advanced team because we were also at that stage where we were looking for possible projects to work with. I told them about Garysburg Food Hub. They totally loved it, and they wanted to be a part of it. So from there, we carried on with the conversation with Julius. He wasn't quite familiar with the work that USGBC does, so we told him more about it. He loved the idea of what we could do. We went, and we had a site visit. So our team went up there, we chatted to Julius, and it so happened that we actually went on a day that they were having the farmers market, so we got to see what they were doing already. The community is very excited about the project because they want to see more activity in that area. They are hoping that this would bring about like economic development as well. So we made sure we carried on with the conversation, kept the dialogue open. We just a couple of weeks ago they had a community meeting. So the mayor was there, the people from the town was there, the town council members. So we decided that it was a really good opportunity once again to visit the site, to talk to the community, to tell them what USGBC was about, what Advance can do for the project, and also to give them a session where they could ask us questions and learn more about how we could help them. So, so we got that, and it was really great to hear what the community had to say, because we realized that they were so enthusiastic, and their enthusiasm just made us even more excited, and we could see how important this project was to the community. So it really got us motivated. We learned more about what they wanted, what they envisioned. And then we took this project even further. Last week, we held a hackathon at a conference, the Deconstruction Conference that was held in North Carolina. So we thought that this was also another perfect opportunity to promote Garysburg Food Hub, to gain exposure, to maybe do a brainstorming session with experts, and to also see if there were other experts that they wanted to get involved in the food hub. So my advice, and our team from the advanced team here from North Carolina, our advice is to basically just always keep the conversation moving, to get involved in as many community discussions that is happening, because it just shows that we are interested. We also get extremely important feedback, and then actually are looking to us to give them as much ideas as possible and to bring in as many experts as we can. So we're very excited about this project.
Awesome, Jasmine. Do you see any particular messages resonating more than others, or what do you say is getting people most excited? Is it that you're just there and present and ready to get rock and roll? Is it that you have a plan that's emerging?
We have a plan. I have to admit, sometimes it can be a bit daunting because there's so many things that we need to tackle with this project. But I think keeping the conversation open, knowing what the community wants, we can see a plan forming. And the message is to create basically a sustainable community that can grow, that's ever evolving, and to actually make it as a sustainable building as possible, and creating that impact that we want to. So I think like the sky is the limit with this project, and we just need to bring it all together and promote the USGBC vision for sure.
Super. Well, thanks so much for sharing, Jasmine. We're excited to follow this one. I think it's a really neat example of how Advance can impact rural communities as well.
For sure. Thanks, Shane.
Indeed. So now I want to introduce a good friend, Sean Taylor, who is a board member here in Washington, D.C., and he was the focus of an article we wrote last week as far as how he built a relationship with Calvary Women's Services in the city. And Sean, I'd love for you to kind of unpack what we talked about in the article there, and how you were able to get them to advance with us and the EP group out here.
Sure. Thanks for the introduction, Shane. So I'm Sean Taylor. One of my roles on the board is I'm also the board liaison to a group of emerging professionals here in the NCR chapter. And we were looking to do an advanced project. And the way we started is we put together kind of an exploratory committee. We had a handful, 5 or 6 or 7 folks that went out and they looked in the community for what might be a great advanced project, and then they came back. We scheduled a conference call. And what we found is that a lot of, at least a handful of folks were kind of skeptical or just not interested in what it is that we do. And I think part of that is, you know, we live and breathe that we're in USGBC, but a lot of folks have no idea who we are. So they may think that we're salespeople or that we're going to try and, you know, start a project and then somehow they're going to end up paying for it. One of the things that I think is helpful is when we were selecting this this final project, which ended up being Calvary Women's Services, it was actually one that I had suggested. And I suggested it because I had worked with them before in the past. I have a friend who's a board member for Calvary Women's Services, and just to give you an idea of what it is, it's a homeless shelter that goes above and beyond just taking care of women, you know, for the night. It's not a place that you come in because it's cold. It's long-term, kind of semi-permanent help. They have about 45 beds, and they have folks that come in. Probably half of them can't read. Probably 20 or 30% of them don't even speak English. These are people who are having a really hard time getting any sort of work whatsoever. And so Calvary is a service that when they come in, they teach them how to go on job interviews. They teach them how to read. They treat them for any sort of psychological issues they might have. They treat them for drug addiction. So it's a really great project, a really great service that's out there. And I had originally worked with them because my friend who's on the board invited me out to kind of a day of service where we went and we fed them on 2 different occasions, and it was a really cool experience. You got to meet the ladies and you know, talk to them and kind of get an idea of how they ended up being there, and you kind of get an emotional connection to them. So it's a project that I have supported financially in the past, and so when I was you know, looking for a great project that would be, you know, that Advance would be a good program to help them with, I immediately thought of Calvary. And I think that when I kind of pitched them to the group of EPs during that conference call, the fact that we kind of had an existing relationship with them and we knew people that were on the board that could help us push this through, and we knew the project, plus the fact that it was something that you can easily get emotionally connected to, I think a lot of folks, I think it was almost unanimous, selected this Calvary Women's Services. Now, once we selected them, I did want to establish trust. I think when you're going out and you are meeting with someone to talk to them about an advanced program, to kind of prevent them from thinking that you are, you know, going to do a bait and switch and they're going to end up paying for this, I think you should bring some sort of collateral that you can show them. Either give them a website that they can go to, or if you've got like a sheet of paper that kind of describes Advance or something, and you can show them something so that they know that you're not making the Advance program up, I think that would be helpful. And of course, you want to be as green as possible, so web resources would be great there as well. But you kind of need to establish that trust. After you explain who you are and what you're doing, I think it's pretty important that you focus on the needs of the community. One of the things that we did is we went in, we had our first kind of a plan builder meeting. We were sitting there and discussing with them all of the things that we were talking about doing. We were really excited about it. We were gung-ho. We had a lot of folks there. And toward the end of the meeting, I just saw kind of a quizzed look on the executive director's face, and I asked her, I said, okay, what's going on? And she's like, you know, you've been here, we've had the 2-hour meeting, I kind of get some sort of idea of what you guys are doing, but I I keep hearing about all of the things that you're doing and what you want to do. I just would like to know how this is going to impact us. Like, how is this going to benefit us? And I realized that in kind of our pitch and in our discussions, we were all sitting there talking about our goals and USGBC's initiatives and USGBC's goals and mission statements and whatnot. And we need to figure out a good way to translate that into something that makes sense to them. And so basically, we kind of immediately drilled down and said, one of the things we want to do is we want to make your building more energy and water efficient so that you're spending less money on utilities, and the donations that you take in can, instead of going to utilities, they can go to improving the lives of the women that you're helping. And just saying that immediately made them warm up, and they were really excited, and it's been a great relationship ever since. We've probably had 6 different meetings at the property. We are working on about 8 different programs. The latest one we came up with last week, we found an organization that's willing to install a $70,000 solar panel on their roof, and then they're going to bill them back at a rate that's about 40% cheaper than they were originally being charged by their utility provider. And then after 15 years, they own their system. So these are not little projects. It's not just giving them advice. We're actually working on getting some equipment donated and installed, and we've got a lot of experts that are helping us with it. But it's been a really great program, and I'm just happy to be part of it. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Sean. And guys, we unpacked some of those major ideas in an article that we dropped last week, based on Sean's experience with Calvary Women's Services. And so definitely check that out. We got some tips in there, some lessons learned on how to really kind of fleece and work within your existing network to isolate projects, to really zero in on groups that you empathetically really care about and make a difference to you personally, as well as really, in the back of mind, knowing the advantages or what the opportunity will provide you and into the chapter, into the local community that you're involved in. But when talking with the partner, very much focusing on how, with our support, we're going to be able to help them better meet their mission and increase their impact. And so check that article out on USGBC.org, and I'll be working to post these all sequentially as a resource for you guys moving forward on all these tips that we've learned over the last couple months of testing all this stuff out. And there'll be a bunch of great new articles starting later this month on building a team to look forward to, as well as we continue building our external presence for the program. I want to loop it back for one more great example. I think, Matt, we were able to figure out some of his phone issues. Matt, could you take us through a tour of your relationship with the McElroy House?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me this time?
Yeah, man.
Oh, okay, great. I totally blew it. So yeah, the McElroy House. So originally, when I got back from DC, I was just trying to figure out, who I was going to collaborate with, how I was going to identify an advanced project, and ultimately, what I ended up doing was looking for other organizations that are somewhat similar to ours, mainly because Fayetteville and Northwest Arkansas in general is a very forward-thinking, progressive community with a lot of awesome, sustainable organizations and nonprofits that are really looking to do great things. So other than just kind of blabbing my mouth all over town about what Advanced was and how it could create awesome events and change buildings and essentially change lives, I kind of fell onto this very awesome small old lady with an insane amount of energy, kind of potentially my spirit animal, if you will. But she runs the Interfaith Power and Light in Arkansas, which is pretty much energy efficiency for faith organizations. And we kind of sat down, and she had all these great ideas of different things, and some were in line with Advance, and some weren't. So essentially, I chose one of her initial ideas, which was this organization, McElroy House, and then we kind of progressed it into an Advance event from there. So really collaborating with her existing connections and kind of really creating the event out of that. So the McElroy House is a cultural exchange and community outreach nonprofit in a small town, Dardanelle, which honestly I'd never stopped there. I think I've drove through once or twice, but I'd never stopped there. But they have a really small old house that a woman was granted when her grandfather passed away, and she wanted to create something nice out of it. So she created this McElroy House, and the overall idea was just kind of sharing knowledge and creating more of a community connection for the people there. So we did weatherize a bunch of the house components, installed a vapor barrier, and we got some floor insulation and a lot of kind of the easy essentials, and got all new LED light bulbs and those types of things that were all funded by the Interfaith Power and Light. But our main mission of that day was kind of to show the community or the residents in that neighborhood how easy it was for them to do those things to their same house that was, next door. We had about 50 people, most of them kind of from that area, and we taught them how to use a caulk gun or taught them what it meant to change light bulbs with a certain type of bulb and kind of the easy things, faucet aerators, but we really were able to teach that community a lot of things, and they, had their big smiles on and said, I'm going to Lowe's right now and do this tomorrow. So it was very gratifying. Other than the crawl space part, being underneath the house for a couple hours was pretty tough with the mold that they had. But I think we made a big difference not only to the house and the nonprofit, but more to that organization, the McElroy House. And now I've got this relationship with the Arkansas Interfaith Power and Light, and they really want to continue to collaborate with me and the advanced program on future connections similar to the McElroy House.
Beautiful. And guys, this is a really great example of a connection to a project through another organization. So it wasn't necessarily a mentor relationship or even a chapter or local community relationship. It was through an outside organization with a similarly vested interest in helping help move communities forward, and Matt was able to tap into and isolate a project, an organization from there. And so, as you're thinking about recruiting a project, really, thinking beyond the usual suspects, and then also this, Matt mentioned Interfaith Power and Light is the organization this woman works for. They, in many regions, continue to be a great and committed partner in helping advance in faith communities all across the country. And so if that is an avenue that you'd like to go down or an organization you'd like to tap into, my colleague Ryan on the phone has some great connections there, and we can help facilitate that as well. And so I just want to take a quick pause and see if anyone has any questions for folks that were sharing or any clarifications. Or if anyone else as well has an inspiring project they want to update us on or let us know some of the things that have been successful for them or maybe not so successful in your outreach so far. So this is the time to chat, guys. Hey Ryan, do you have any good examples that you've heard through the years? Things that you've learned in kind of your outreach? I can't hear you. Oh, hold on, dude. I think I have you unmuted my thing. Oh, go ahead now. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So, wow. So through the years, that's a loaded question. Yeah, I mean, I think it was Sean who said, a lot of people are expecting, a bait and switch that you're going to come along and try to sell something, and I definitely think that that's the case. USGBC hasn't necessarily had a giant relationship at the community level with folks, and those who have heard of us, which most people haven't, those who have heard of us only know us working with folks kind of at the high end of the spectrum or trying to sell products or lead or whatnot. So, sorry, Colin's quite loud behind us. You can hear him in the background. Hey, Colin. Sorry about that. But so there's this, a lot of people don't know who we are, and I think that I just want to echo that starting out and saying, hey, this is what we believe, what are you into, and starting from that position has been effective every single time that we've gone to work with an organization, not going in with a preconceived notion of what it is that they need or what you can actually do with them, but just have a conversation in a very, very kind of open and gentle way. That's what we've learned from all of the community projects that we've done.
Absolutely. I know folks have been doing some outreach, but folks that haven't isolated a project yet, what are some of the walls that you're hitting, or what can we do on our end to help better support you as well, or what type of advice do you have to your peers?
I just jump in here. I'm having sort of a slightly tough sell, not because I think there's going to be a bait and switch, kind of arrangement, but because there's
this is Nat from Detroit, right?
This is Nat. Hi, from Detroit. Yeah. It's just like having a really hard time selling a lot of the ideas involved in the platform because people just in Detroit don't really think they're valuable, including like people with college degrees who manage multi-million-dollar projects. So it's not really a matter of a lack of. It's very popular at a community level, and we've had a lot of. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about our proposed energy retrofit program that we're putting together, but at an organizational level, it's really hard to rally support internally, I guess.
And this is, and you're trying to get your organization to use some of the advanced strategy, right? To help
and I have a loose outline for it.
And there's skepticism, like this, is this valuable?
Yeah, it's just sort of like,
you're hearing?
Why are you bringing this to me? I don't really care. And it's like, but okay. So I think what I'm,
based on the conversations you've had, do you think that we're going to have much luck inroads there, or we're going to have to start looking elsewhere for some more believers?
I think I will have luck. I just think I haven't figured out the right way to frame it, and I think it's probably because we have a lot of there's a lot of anxiety at the office about some delays on some of the projects I'm working on. Had some couple odds and ends of issues we've run into as far as like some of these community development projects, but I think there will be substantial support for it. I just have to figure out how to sell it. And in the meantime, it's sort of like a question internally as far as like, if I don't get the right answer from one person, do I go to another person? And there's like this question of propriety on top of that. So in general, though, I think I've made a great connection in the local community, and there's someone who's like in charge of the neighborhood organization where we're working, and she's basically like, yeah, I'm really into some of the stuff you're talking about. But she definitely did frame it in a way of like saying, here are some of the things that we're expressly interested in. So I'm going to meet with her and talk about what those things are and how we can work together on those. And then on top of that, what we might be able to bring to them. So it does,
Great.
It does come to the whole like question of like listening as well as also giving input.
Right. So you'll sit down with them and understand kind of what needs they have and where they're hoping to go, and then work on see if there's overlap or things you can help increase capacity for those. Beautiful. Okay.
And our experience, because we've worked with several not-for-profit organizations in Detroit and connecting with the other emerging professionals there that have a lot of inroads with them and carrying those forward. In USGBC's Convergence was in Detroit just a couple of years ago, and we brought a great number of organizations to the table. So the emerging professionals there have a lot of established relationships, so I would definitely connect with them.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is that I don't really know anyone. Like, every time they talk about Detroit and sustainability, there are like two names that come up, and so it's sort of like, okay, I know those people, but they're doing something else. So I got to figure out a way to like rally the troops. My other scheme is to sort of figure out if I can get the chapter to pony up some money for some stuff I want to do because a lot of this is like a very tough sell based on if there's any expense associated with it. So that's sort of my longer term project. But I'd be happy to talk more about that if you get any people I should talk to. And with that, I will shut up.
All right. Thanks, buddy. I think, Adele, you wanted to pipe in there?
Yeah, I think we could talk about, I've kind of had, it seems like you had an internal issue at the beginning that you're discussing a little bit with maybe the company you work at, and then more of kind of like, trying to get out and about in Detroit, trying to figure out who's the movers and shakers a little bit. I can definitely like connect with you and talk to you a little bit about that, because I think I have experience in both, like my chapter being a little bit slow in progress, as well as working my internal job and kind of slowly manicuring them, going to the wrong person, getting yelled at.
Adele, unfortunately, it's cutting out a little bit, man. Are you still in France?
Then kind of just calming down a little bit and then bring it back up a little bit about that. Yeah, I'm sorry. My Wi-Fi is pretty bad.
No, I see.
Can you hear me?
So, yeah, it keeps waving in and out.
Sorry about that.
But I'll share with the crew. You know, Adele's in Savannah, Georgia, and was working for a while to work with the local chapter branch out there to figure out how to kind of use that as the vehicle to get advanced work done, but continue to run into some walls there. And then he's been now exploring how he works at SCAD, or Savannah College of Art and Design, how to support them organizationally in getting more involved with Energy Star and using some of the benchmarking jam materials or those principles to help get the school on a better path around energy. And so if you're seeing those types of opportunities, guys, where you're either hitting some walls or trying to work within your own organization, Adele could offer some great insights and perspective there. He's been, as you saw, eating cheese in France the last couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll be back on U.S. soil soon, but that'll explain his Wi-Fi issues. Any more things from the network, guys, that you're seeing? Is the message resonating? Are there better ways we can be talking about this? We really want to hear from the ground how we can better and continue tailoring the program to fit and meet your needs. Okay. Well, I'm hoping we can continue this conversation for sure. I think we'll be moving to some more one-on-ones, Adele and I and other teammates here at UHBC to coach you guys and continue helping you move the ball forward on these various issues, or these various efforts. But I want to leave you today with a few things that we've learned to help you in your pitch, just to reinforce some ideas. So for local ambassadors, as you at an individual level are working on still isolating your project, especially new ambassadors, really think about the places that you personally love. So working within your first and second degree connections, getting in front I'd really encourage you to sit down with a representative and talk and listen, and then without too much of an agenda, get that conversation going, start hearing what their needs are, in your head, start thinking about how you can respond. It could be helpful to really do research into previous sustainability efforts if they've done anything before to reference, and if they have any leaders internally that can support this type of work. And then from there, as we move forward, and hopefully with those kind of 5 steps that I mentioned earlier, be able to really showcase what a relationship looks like, and how our volunteer network can help you get to those ends and help them reach those goals. From an organization perspective, so as you're talking to maybe your local community or Interfaith Power and Light or other organizations that want to get involved more strategically or more expert or professionally in this particular work that you're taking on, a great way to promote it, talk about Advance is really understand your local chapters, what they're focused on this next year, and how this advanced work can help buttress or support existing efforts. So if if there's a water series that your chapter is hosting, or there's a materials summit or things of that nature, are there ways to dovetail your advanced work in conjunction with those? I also encourage you, as you continue hopefully get closer with your local chapter and the staff there, working with their existing relationships could be a great way to isolate projects and get a little more support so you're not on your own. Also rely and lean on local trends. What types of organizations are really important to your region and your area? What are those groups that really can bring a spotlight to your work? So think about your market for sure. And then in some cases, people have not just taken these projects on individually or just with a mentor, but they've got their whole local EP committee or their local community committee behind it, such as here in DC. And so getting other volunteers, leaders excited about this to build a coalition of folks that want to take on these projects. And then, if you're thinking big, if you really want to see Advance grow outside your one particular project, always think about the networks that these organizations or these buildings are connected to. So if it's a school, think about it at a district level eventually. If it's a church, think about it at a diocese or a synod level about how this could scale within that. We definitely think big here at USGBC and encourage you to consider the same, but this year we're very much focused at an individual project level. So some questions to leave you with, if you're still trying to work on getting that project in the door, or if you do have one and are preparing to take it on, make sure you go into that meeting with an understanding of what their mission is. I think that's going to be key in making sure that that trust is there and that relationship is built. Really understand how they operate, what kind of programs and activities they have. Definitely do your research into things to really emphasize that's important to them. Is it energy? Is it water? Or should you be avoiding particular topics when you're sitting down with them? Maybe they're skeptical of climate issues. Maybe there's a myriad of things that might be issues. But think about that before you sit down. Definitely leverage those personal connections. Sean Taylor leveraged his board connection. We were able to connect Maggie and Frank Sherman together out in Philadelphia. And so definitely lean on us if you need help in making those connections. And then also we encourage you to think about how you end up approaching that organization. So is it email? Is it phone call? Really think about hard how you're going to reach out to folks. And then finally, the major ideas are meet them where they're at, very much focus on their needs. In order to get people from inertia around sustainability into actual action, you got to be persistent, but do it with compassion. And then, this is a year-long commitment, both for you and your project, and make sure that this is going to be seen as a long-term engagement and not just a single event or a single engagement activity. This is for the long term to see some true change happen. And so at the end of each of these calls and the end of every month within the ambassadorship program, in the new kind of format, we end with an ask. And for month number 2, our ask is that you confirm at least one organization to move forward with you. And so that is hopefully your motivation and your direction for your activities this month. And that's what we're going to be helping everyone get to that point so we can move forward. So that's my spiel, guys. Any reactions, comments? Are you excited? Does this help get you closer? Do you like having this time? We've got about 3 minutes to debrief before we move on.
Hello, Shane?
Yeah.
Okay, hi. This is Yasia from Charleston.
Hey.
I just wanted to share, I guess, my strategy with starting out, and that was to get some partner organizations involved before I started talking to some of the organizations that I wanted to volunteer with or partner with, and that's
okay.
been really helpful because it helps deal with some of the questions about, like, Advance is relatively new, but I'm partnering with Sustainability Institute, which people know, or I've talked to the Sustainability Institute about partnering, or the AAA about partnering, and then the USG, our local chapter of USGBC, got them to put advance on their budget so that they would, so we have like a small budget, but at least something to come to the table with and say, these are the resources we have to help serve you. So I don't know if that's helpful to some other people to consider trying that route. And so when they're going for their ask, it will be a little less, you have a little substance behind you, I suppose.
So yes, this is Ryan. To that point, I think connecting in with your local board of your USGBC chapter early on in the game is really, really important. Not only does it, can you get their support, but Shane and I were out in Maryland, and they're like, well, there's all these ideas, like, well, who can we work with, and what organizations do you like? And then we switched the conversation and asked their board, what other organizations are you already involved with? And there were several people that were on the board that sat on boards of other organizations or that volunteered for other organizations. And that's kind of like the example that Maggie gave, and actually Sean gave as well, where there was already an existing connection to start there. And I think that just makes that so much better rather than, going through Google and trying to find a random organization. If that's so, absolutely go to your local board first and let them know that you want to do this, get their support, and then ask them who they know.
Oh, I've already talked to my local board, and like I said, they have us on the budget, and so they've been helping filter some of the possible organizations to partner with. I was putting that out there as a suggestion to talk with your board first. And I think the budgets have closed already for some chapters, but try and get them to put you as a part of their budget to help fund a project at some point. So it was but yeah, I definitely agree.
Great, thanks, Cassia. And that's definitely a nice, another consideration is how do you tap into other professional organizations that you're associated with to drum up potential leads and connections. I'm sure many of you are involved with AIA or other groups that could serve as lead sources as well. All right, well, we made good time, guys. I will let you go. It's been great catching up. I'm heading out on vacation in a week, so I'll be offline. I'll get you guys hopefully set up before then, but looking forward to hitting the ground running a little harder in late March. We'll be talking about building a team, and so look forward to articles and a call later this month around that stuff. So until then, keep up the good work. And that's all we got up here at headquarters. Talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Shane.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Everybody, ciao.